First time to say all praises, glory, and honor. Look at that. Gas prices steadily going up. Say all praises, glory, and honor. Yahweh Shema Shah Bashim Gakadash. Give double honor to elders, apostles, and teachers. Great milestone by learning the truth. I say shalom to the hopeful elect of Israel. And I'm going to send this on the upcoming Jacob's Trouble. And you see, like I said, mentioned last week, gas prices was at about $3.80, between $3.50 and $3.75 maybe. Now it's at $3.99. Some I'm sure hitting $4 fucking dollars. And all within the span of what, a few weeks. And just had a thought of how everything is escalating rather quickly. Within about 3 months, everything went straight to hell. The beginning of this year. And just the scriptures talk about how the Lord is going to make a speedy riddance of Babylon, how the Lord is going to shorten the days. Everything is actually happening rather quickly. Because once again, the world literally went to hell in 3 months. Well, in a few weeks. But we're the third month in the new year, But Jacob's Trouble, because you got a lot of people that are finally waking up to the fact of how you have these different resource shortages, all of these different things that are going on overseas. Is actually all of those chickens are coming home to roost now, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to get to the point to where the American people can't just ignore it, because obviously American people, they can party, they can do all these things, they can drown out that the news, they can drown out the noise, but it's going to get to a point to where they can no longer do that. When they'll no longer be able to stick their head in the sand. And all of these things that the scriptures talk about, Jacob's Trouble, all the prophecies, they're all going to fucking happen. And Jeremiah 30:7, because you got that circulating on social media about how get prepping supplies, save your money, get gas cans, which is smart. But you have men that have been telling you the real reason why all these things are happening and how to avoid it. But obviously niggas don't want to fucking listen. And I was watching a video that Elder Menachem Zagba put up, and he went into the conflict of World War II, and he mentioned how around worldwide 70 to 80 million people died, and most of those people were civilians. Most of the people in these world wars, or at least in World War II, which is considered the deadliest conflict in human history, which it's not, but obviously this was considered as far as war is concerned. Most of the people that were bombed out, fucking mangled, were civilians. Think about that. People who weren't in the war. So what does that tell you about this war? A lot of people, a lot of civilians are going to die. History repeats itself. And, it's going to be by troops, by missiles, but mainly it's going to be the people taking each other out. And when you take a look into Jacob's Trouble, like what? Rule of law is gone. Every man for himself. If a man is hungry and he has a family and somebody has a can of beans, he's going to tear that nigga's throat out and cook his ass up with the beans. And people already kill each other for way less. So as much as people like to talk about the prophets and talk shit, what you can't deny is the fact that the prophecies are happening. Jeremiah 37, the last Friday is great, so that there is none like it, is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And that's what we talk about. It's the time of Jacob's trouble. Now it's going to start with our people. Make sure that, I think it's in Ezekiel 9, started the ancient man before the house, started his people. Talk about sending out the death angels to destroy and to kill. But it's going to extend to everybody else in the world as well. But scriptures talk about how he is going to be saved out of it. The Lord is going to reserve a certain number of people to make it through Jacob's trouble, because you have the 1/3 that's going to make it, and everybody else, especially of the nation of Israel, they're all going to die. And you see those types of things being set up, because scriptures talk about how their bridegroom should be destroyed. The men of Babylon should bow themselves. Niggas don't want to fight for their country, and niggas getting sent over there to fucking the Middle East, Iran, to fucking die. And they have a lot more casualties than they say. And if you watch that movie, Don't Look Up, things with Leonardo DiCaprio, the government, he was aware that the missile was headed towards Earth, but the government didn't want to tell people because they didn't want to incite a panic. So they literally, he ended up, fucking losing his shit and telling everybody that everybody's going to fucking die because a missile was coming to Earth. But because, it was fucked up. It was like, everybody's going to fucking die and y'all don't want to tell these people what the fuck going on. So he lost it. But that show, and you see that oftentimes in plenty of movies as well, where your elected officials or selected officials will they'll wait till the last minute to tell you, in an effort to avoid a panic or rioting, because people are going to lose, people will lose their shit if they find out that they're all going to fucking die horribly, fucking die miserably, that they'll no longer be able to take part in all, that their daily lives are going to be permanently disrupted. So of course they're not going to tell anybody what the fuck's really going on. Not only that, but the American government especially is known for lying to its fucking people. Everybody knows the American government, the niggas, your government are a bunch of fucking liars. So damn sure they're not going to tell you the truth. Yet you have people that, especially Jake, that put their trust in these niggas anyway. But you had the prophets out here telling you, don't believe that shit. This shit's gonna fucking end. And taking Noah, an example was that Noah was preaching for 120 years about the flood. And you think about what he was talking about, like what a flood at the time, rain didn't exist. So nobody believed him. There were things that they hadn't seen before that Noah was preaching about, but because they hadn't seen it, they didn't believe him. It's the same thing now. People don't think that America can go down the fucking drain. They don't think that their neighbor would kill them for a string bean, because they haven't personally seen it. You start saying you have to see it to believe it. So nobody sees it, or nobody has seen it, which is why they don't believe it. But did those unbelieving, did those niggas that were making fun of Noah, did their, like the scriptures say, did their unbelief make the faith of Yahweh so without effect? Fear not the incredulity or the unbelief. Why? Because whether or not they believe, whether or not they've seen it, it's going to happen. So what happened? The flood ended up coming. Whether or not they believed it, and they died horribly. And that's been a reoccurring thing, especially when it comes to the nation of Israel, The men of the Lord saying, hey, this is going to happen. They're saying, shut the fuck up, get out of here, go kick rocks. And then what happened? Fucking, Syrians, the fucking Babylonians came in and tore fucking ass. You had these different heathen nations that came in and tore fucking ass. And it's the same thing now. Esau, especially with Esau, because like Esau is getting ready to come in, he's getting ready to tear ass. You niggas gonna have, no, I'm not even gonna say that. I was about to say, these niggas are gonna have to pick which asshole to shit with when Esau's done with them. When he finished tearing them a few extra ones. And yes, it's going to get that fucking brutal. Worse than 70 to 80 million worldwide dying. You know, price right, like you see, there's all these different people, because he actually showed this guy, well, a couple of guys that was telling people, you know, to get your supplies, get your weight up, get you know, gold and silver supplies and shit like that, which ultimately that isn't really gonna, that's not gonna help anyone. You know, it's not gonna do anything. Because the one who's signing off on these people's death warrants is the Heavenly Father, who has the death angels, delivering these people's judgment. No amount of prepping no amount of prepping or money can overturn that. Matthew 24:22. For then shall be great tribulation, such as is not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So you think of every other so-called atrocity that has been committed on this earth, and you can name quite a few. Humans have been very, very unsavory towards each other in their existence. Human beings have been mean to each other. But all of that combined, this is going to be infinitely worse than all of that combined. And you can see how. And like I said, one of the main reasons why it's going to be so fucking horrible is simply because of habit. These people have become creatures of habit. They're used to waking up, getting their coffee, turning on the morning news, maybe swinging by the gas station, getting some gas, cheap gas, heading on to work. Good morning, Sally, sitting down at the office, going through their routines. Think back to when the power goes out. I remember one day the power was flashing for a couple of days. Power went out. And there was this coworker that was pretty much losing her fucking mind, because within about 2 days, she was obviously, playing it off and acting because, we were at work or whatnot. But you could tell, because we worked together quite often, so she's a little bit more relaxed around me. But it's like some dumbasses driving. But from how she was talking, I could tell that this is really fucking with her. And look at that, people losing their goddamn minds already. Niggas driving fucking crazy. But this is really fucking with her. Not just not having the power on, but not being able to go on social media. Not being able to look up their favorite YouTuber. So when these people, and the only thing that's really keeping these people from killing each other is is YouTube, is this bread and circus. If it weren't for that, these niggas would fucking lose it. Hunger and greed. People, they love to eat all types of snacks and indulge in all sorts of gluttony and lust. But people won't be able to do that. Once again, they lose their fucking minds, because they become way too dependent on all of this shit to where they can't operate without it. Now read this one more time. That was pretty much it. This is really just inspired by give me a second here. But yeah, they need all these things to survive, and these people are already fucking animals. But read this one more time. Matthew 24:21. And that's that's just the people. Imagine what the so-called Esau has in store for these niggas, because he wants to exterminate these niggas. All these different types of fucking human experiments and robots and shit that he has in store. Because don't forget, you have the niggas at the top who want to exterminate the rest of the people who they consider to be rabble. Common rabble. Trash. And another thing that I think about often is, the crazies, the crazy niggas in the asylums. All of the sleeper cells, all of the niggas that who you shake hands with every day. The the niggas who walk past, you walk past, in the morning on the way to work, you smile and they give you a smile back and a wave or whatnot. Good morning to you. Those niggas are the niggas that all those seemingly normal niggas, those are the niggas that go home and they fucking torture animals and shit. And they want to try their hand at humans. And there's a couple years ago, I think this was a Jake. He might look like a Jake. He was on I think it was Instagram some shit or TikTok or some shit. And he mentioned how he couldn't wait for the economy to collapse so people like him could have his fun. And what the fuck do you think he meant by that? It's so the crazies could come out and do all manner of evil and vile wickedness to these people. You have a lot of people that fantasize about causing pain and mayhem and destruction and nothing but they have to chain that down and white knuckle it and act as if they're normal. A lot of people are doing that. A lot more than you would think. And the Lord has been holding those niggas back. But that's what we say when, hey, our people need help. Because, like, the average nigga can't really defend himself. He may be a street fighter. But all he could throw is a few haymakers before he's gassed out. And then the hash slinging slasher could have his fucking way. But, I'm not going to go on anymore. I'm going to read this one more time. For there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And do a little bit of looking into these various different scientific experimentations and fucking genocides that's been done on these different people in the past. It's going to be a lot, it's going to be infinitely worse than that. And we keep saying it, but you want to know the funny thing about this shit is that now it's finally fucking happening. But that's pretty much it. Hope is edifying. So y'all praise this glory now. Yahweh Shema Shah Bashim Dal Kadash. The Bronze as possible teacher great minister for learning the truth. Shalom to hope like Israel and Shutching Bell on Great America.